The sky was blue that morning on planet Arvin 7. Birds flew high, machines hummed gently, and people were smiling. It was a peaceful day in New Terran City, the biggest human colony on the edge of the galaxy. No one knew that in a few hours, everything would change. Captain Alara Voss walked through the city center with her little sister, Mira. They laughed together, holding cold drinks in their hands. Ilara, just 28 years old, was already known as a brilliant pilot and leader, but today, she was not a captain. Today, she was just a sister enjoying the sunshine. "I'm proud of you," Mira said, smiling. "You finally took a break." Ilara laughed. "I needed it. After 2 years in space, this planet feels like home. But peace is fragile. And sometimes, it dies without warning." At exactly 13:07 local time, the sky turned black. Not with clouds, but with shadows of enemy warships. A loud, deep alarm echoed across the city. "Enemy fleet detected. All civilians proceed to shelters. This is not a drill." People froze. Ilara's eyes widened. She grabbed Mira's hand. "Run, Shelter 12. The fires had stopped, but the smoke never really cleared. New Terran City, once full of life, was now mostly dust and silence. Ships no longer flew across the sky. Streets were empty. Only ruins and quiet graves remained. Captain Alara Voss walked alone through what used to be the Central Park. The trees were gone. The statue of the colony founders was broken in half. And the bench where she once sat with her sister Mira was now twisted metal. Alara had not spoken much in the last 3 days. Not after she found the remains of Shelter 12. Not after she realized Mira was truly gone. There were no tears left in her eyes. Only fire. Cold, angry fire. The call for helping the far edge of the city. A small group of survivors had gathered. Soldiers, doctors, engineers, a few civilians, maybe 100 people total. They had no leader. Commander Wren had been killed in the second wave of attacks. Most of the military officers were gone. The chain of command was broken. They needed someone to take charge. And they all knew one name, Alara Voss. But when they came to her, she refused. "I'm not your leader," she said. "I failed. I couldn't even save my own sister. I don't deserve to lead anyone." The survivors were quiet. A young mechanic named Yalan stepped forward. "We're not asking for a perfect hero," he said. "We're asking for someone who can help us survive. Someone who knows how to fight. That's you, Captain." Alara looked at their tired faces. The old, the young, the injured. They were scared but still standing. "I'm just one person," she whispered. Jal. Ian nodded. "Sometimes one person is enough." Rising from the ashes on the 4th day after the attack, Alara finally agreed. She didn't call herself commander. She didn't even stand on a stage. She just started giving orders, and people followed. First, she made them move underground into the tunnels once used for mining. There, they would be hidden from enemy scanners. Then she set up small teams. Scouts, medics, engineers, cooks, guards. "Everyone has a role now," she said. "No one sits and waits to die." They began to rebuild. Not the city, that was gone, but hope. Piece by piece. The first step. Learning to survive. There wasn't much food left. Power was low. Medical supplies were limited. Alara sent scouts into broken parts of the city to recover what they could. She joined them sometimes, leading by example. In one mission, they entered an old lab. Inside, they found a hidden storage unit filled with weapons and power cells. "Lucky break," said one of the scouts. Alara shook her head. "No such thing as luck, just good instincts." Every mission became a lesson. How to move quietly. How to fight in silence. How to think like the enemy. The survivors started to change. They became sharper, faster, harder. But Alara still felt the weight of every decision. Every injury, every death. It stayed with her. Ghosts of the past. One night, she had a dream. She saw Mira standing at the edge of the crater. "You're doing good," Mira said softly. Alara's voice broke. "I don't know what I'm doing. You're leading. I never wanted to lead." Mira smiled. "But you're still doing it. That's what makes you strong." Alara woke up with tears in her eyes. It was the first time she cried since the attack. And it was the last. From that day on, she was different. Not colder, but clearer. She had a purpose. Trouble from within. Not everyone agreed with her leadership. A former security chief named Ral Kors began to question her decisions. "She's not a real commander," he said to others. "She's just a pilot with a guilt complex." Some started listening to him. Whispers began to spread in the tunnels. Doubts. Fear. Alara didn't ignore it. She called a meeting. "If anyone thinks they can do better, step forward," she said calmly. Ral stood. "We should be hiding, not planning fights. We'll die if we go against the Vernax." "Then you're already dead," Alara replied. "Because they're coming again. And next time, they won't leave anything behind." The silence in the room was heavy. Then an old woman raised her hand. I lost my daughter in the first attack. I don't want to hide. I want to fight. One by one, others agreed. Ral left the meeting. He didn't cause more trouble. A strange signal 10 days after the attack. While scanning old frequencies, the engineers picked up a strange signal, a distress call, not human. Not Vernax either. It came from the mountains, a few hundred kilometers away. It's alien tech, said Yalin. Could be survivors from another species. Ilara had a choice. Ignore it or check it out. We're going, she said. If there's someone out there who can help us, we need them. She took a small team and left the next morning. The journey was dangerous. The terrain was rough. And Vernax scout drones were everywhere. But she led the way. In the mountains, they found a crashed ship. Not human. Inside, they met Kelter, an alien warrior from the Dravak species. He was injured but alive. I came to warn your people, Kelter said. The Vernax are not finished. This was only their first wave. Ilara looked into his alien eyes. Then help me stop the next one. Planning the future, Kelter was skilled in tactics and alien technology. With his help, Ilara and her team started building new defenses underground. Shield boosters, pulse rifles, jamming devices. He also shared knowledge about the Vernax. Their weaknesses, their blind spots, their fear of fire. We can use this, Ilara said. We can fight back. But they needed more people, more weapons, more time, and time was running out. A message to the star Solara made a risky decision. She ordered her engineers to repair one of the old long-range satellites. If they could send a message to nearby human colonies, maybe someone would hear. It took 4 days. But finally, the system lit up. She stood in front of the camera. This is Captain Ilara Voss of New Terran Colony. We were attacked. We lost everything. But we are alive. And we are fighting back. If you hear this, help us or join us. Because the war isn't over. It's just beginning. The message was sent. And with it, hope. Closing. Ilara stood outside the tunnel entrance, looking up at the stars. The wind was cold. Kelter stood beside her. You still doubt yourself, he said. She nodded. I wasn't born to lead. Perhaps not, Kelter replied. But you were forged to lead by fire and loss. Ilara didn't answer. But in her heart, she knew he was right. She was not the same person who laughed with her sister 2 weeks ago. That Ilara was gone. The new Ilara, the one who rose from ashes, was ready to fight. And next time, the Vernax would not face a city of civilians. They would face a leader with nothing left to lose. Deep under the ruined city of New Terra, the survivors were changing. What started as a scared group hiding in tunnels was becoming something more, a resistance, a force preparing to fight back. And at the center of it all was Captain Ilara Voss. Her eyes had lost their softness. Her voice was steady and sharp. She no longer looked like a pilot who had lost everything. Now she looked like a commander preparing for war. The broken to the brave. It started with training. Ilara gathered the survivors in a large underground chamber once used for mining storage. The air was thick with dust. The walls echoed every footstep. Lights flickered above them, weak and old. Most of the people were not soldiers. Some had never even held a weapon. Farmers, teachers, engineers, nurses, tired, hungry, still grieving. Ilara stood in front of them, her voice clear. If we wait for help, we die. If we hide, we die. But if we fight, we have a chance. I'm not training you to become soldiers overnight. I'm training you to survive and to protect each other. No one clapped, no one cheered. But no one walked away either. That was enough. Step by step, the first few days were hard. People stumbled, missed targets, tripped over their own feet. Some wanted to quit, but Ilara was patient. She didn't scream. She didn't punish failure. She explained, she showed, and most importantly, She led by example. She trained with them, fought beside them, got bruised with them. She taught them how to shoot, how to move quietly, how to fight hand to hand. They ran drills, practiced night patrols, simulated ambushes. Slowly, they improved. A nurse named Lana became an excellent sharpshooter. A farmer named Torin showed skill in close combat. Even young teens started learning scout roles and communication. Systems, Kelter's lessons. The alien warrior, Kelter, trained them too. His methods were different, sharper, faster, more brutal. Vernacs don't fight with honor, he said. They kill quickly. They hunt. You must become harder. He showed them weak points in Vernac's armor, how to disable their weapons. How to use sound and light to confuse them. Some feared him at first, but over time, they began to trust him, even respect him. Kelter wasn't just a fighter. He was a survivor of his own destroyed world. Like them, he had lost everything. That made him one of them. New weapons, new hope with help from engineers and Kelter as alien knowledge. Ilara began building new weapons. They couldn't match the power of the Vernac ships. But they could build smart weapons, small, fast, and deadly. They created plasma dart guns, easy to carry, deadly up close. EMP grenades, to disable Vernac's drones. Flash blades, energy knives that burned through armor. Signal jammers to block enemy tracking. JALEN. The young mechanic even repaired 3 broken drone scouts, which they sent above ground for surveillance. Bit by bit, their tools improved. Their confidence grew. Doubt in the dark, but not everything was perfect. One night, a storage room was broken into. Some weapons were stolen. Ration packs went missing. Trust cracked. ELARA held a meeting. There's a traitor among us, she said. We need to find them, not for punishment, but for protection. Kelter suspected something more. The Vernacs use mind control tech, he warned. Sometimes they don't send spies. Sometimes they make spies. The idea chilled everyone. Someone here could be under Vernac's influence and not even know it. To fight this, Ilara formed a 3-person trust unit, trained in observation and behavior checks. She didn't want fear to break them. They were building something strong. She wouldn't let it fall from the inside. The fire test in the 20th day after the attack. Ilara took 50 of her best trainees to the surface. This was their final test, a real combat simulation in the ruins. Their goal: take control of a crashed supply ship in Sector 9, retrieve its power cells, and return safely. They moved in silence through broken buildings. Drones flew overhead, scanning. Every step was risky. Suddenly, movement. 2 Vernac scouts appeared. Ilara gave hand signals. No panic, no noise. The team moved like shadows. They surrounded the enemy, took them down fast. No casualties, but the noise attracted more. Within minutes, a full Vernac squad dropped in. It was chaos. Smoke, fire, energy blasts. Ilara took command. Cover left. EMP out. Protect the medic. People moved like trained fighters now. They didn't freeze. They fought together. Kelter cut through 2 enemies with his double blade. Lana provided sniper cover. Torin shielded a wounded scout. Ilara's voice never wavered. When it was over, the ship was secured. The team returned underground. Bruised, tired, but victorious. They had passed the test. A voice from the stars. 2 days later, a signal came in, faint, human. This is Captain Dren of the Horizon Colony. We received your message, Ilara Voss. We are preparing aid. But our own borders are under threat. Hold out. Reinforcements may take time. It wasn't a rescue, but it was hope. ELARA played the message twice for the others. They listened in silence. Some cried, some smiled. We're not alone, she said. We just have to hold the line. Bonds forged in fire. That night, they celebrated. The first real celebration since the attack. No music. No lights. Just shared food, quiet laughter, and stories. They talked about the old world, families, lost homes, favorite meals. Elar sat with her team. For a moment, she let her guard down. I used to hate leadership, she admitted. Always felt like pressure I never wanted. Kelter spoke. And now? I still hate it, she said, smiling. But I understand it, he nodded. Good, because war is coming. Preparing for the next strike, the drone scouts picked up something the next morning. Enemy movement. A large Vernax transport ship, less than 60 kilometers away. Digging into the soil. Building something. Alara stared at the footage. Her eyes narrowed. They're making a base, she said. Forward command, maybe worse. What do we do? Lana asked. Ilara looked around at her people, tired, worn, but ready. We train harder, she said. We prepare smarter. And when the time is right, we burn it to the ground. Closing scene as night fell. Ilara stood near the surface. Hatch, watching stars peek through the clouds. Mira's necklace hung around her neck. Her fingers brushed over it. She whispered, "We're not broken anymore, Mira. We're becoming something stronger. For you. For all of us." Behind her, drills echoed through the tunnels. People trained, laughed, planned. They were survivors. No more. They were warriors. And this time, when the Vernax returned, they would not find fear. They would find fire. 27 days had passed since the fall of New Terra. Underground. Life had changed. People no longer cried when they woke up. They didn't wait to be saved. They trained, they worked, they planned. They were preparing for the day the Vernax would return. And now, that day had come. The sky burns again. It started at sunrise. A low hum vibrated through the earth. Then the sirens rang. Enemy ships detected. Incoming Vernax force. Estimated. Time, 38 minutes. Captain Ilara Voss stood near the main command station deep underground. She closed her eyes for just a second, then opened them, sharp and steady. "Everyone to battle positions," she said. "Activate the surface traps. Power up all shields. It's time." There was no panic, no screaming. This time, people moved fast, focused. The fear was still there, but it was not controlling them anymore. The plan over the last 2 weeks. Ilara and Kelter had built a full defense strategy. They divided their fighters into 4 strike teams. Shadow Team, stealth units for ambush. Storm Team, heavy fighters to hold the main line. Echo Team, snipers and long-range support. Iron Team, defense engineers and medics. And at the heart of the plan was Ilara herself. She would lead Storm Team on the front line, not from a safe room, not over comms, but on the battlefield. Before the storm, as fighters geared up, Ilara walked between them. She checked weapons, gave short nods, a hand on a shoulder, a look in the eyes. She found Lana, the sniper. High ridge. Cover the South Valley. Copy that. Torin, the close combat leader. Hold the East Tunnel. Don't let anything through. Yes, Captain. Kelter approached her, double blade glowing blue. "You are ready?" "I was ready the day they took everything from me," Ilara replied. He paused. "You fight not just with anger now, but with purpose. That is power." The attack begins. The first blast came from the north, a beam of red energy tearing through the sky and hitting an old building. Then the Vernax ships appeared, dark, sharp, metallic. Monsters floating like shadows with fire. But the humans were ready. Hidden. EMP launchers fired from the ground, disabling 2 scout ships. Snipers from Echo Team took out Vernax drop units mid-air. Traps exploded under enemy walkers. Ilara led Storm Team through the ruins toward the central square. Their job, hold the Vernax from reaching the underground entrance. Blasts flew past her. Dust and smoke everywhere. "Cover left," she shouted. "Push forward, don't stop." They moved as one. A well-trained force. Human and Drivek side, but the enemy was strong. For every one Vernax they took down, 2 more came behind. The fall of the Western leaner message came through her earpiece. "Captain, the West barrier is down. They're breaking through. Lana, pull back and cover the West. Echo team, reposition now." She turned to her team. "We hold here, no matter what. We buy them time." The battle turned brutal. Hand-to-hand fighting. Screams, smoke, blood. Torin was hit, his leg burned by a plasma shot, but he still fought. A young medic dragged him to safety. Ilara took down 2 Vernax soldiers with her pulse rifle. Then another leaped at her from behind. Kelter appeared just in time, slicing the enemy in half. "You still owe me for that save," he said. "Put it on my tab," she replied, breathing hard. Underground trouble below. In the tunnels, Iron Team was keeping civilians safe. But a loud boom shook the earth. A scout drone had made it inside. Security systems activated. Automatic lasers locked down. Doors. But the drone got through the first gate. An engineer named Bren managed to throw an EMP grenade at the last second, disabling it. But it was a warning. The Vernax were adapting. "They're testing us," Bren said. "Next time they'll send more." The turning point above ground, the battle was getting worse. Ammo was low. Fighters were tired. And then, something terrifying happened. A Vernax juggernaut landed in the square, 3 times the size of a normal soldier, armored like a tank, holding a weapon that melted steel. Ilara froze for just 1 second. This was not part of the plan. She looked around. Half her team was down. Others were falling back. The juggernaut began charging its weapon. If it fired, it would break through the last barrier to the tunnels. She had seconds. The decision: fall back, Yalin shouted in her earpiece. "We can't." "Hold it." Ilara took a deep breath. "No," she said. "We're not falling back." She ran forward alone, straight toward the juggernaut. Shots flew around her. Dust blinded her eyes. But she kept going. She slid under a beam, dodged a blast, and threw a flashblade, but it bounced off the armor. Too strong. She ran again, this time toward the wreckage of a crashed ship nearby. Inside, a broken energy core. She had an idea. "Kelter," she called. "Can you distract it for 30 seconds? He roared in reply and charged the juggernaut, drawing its fire. Ilara dragged the energy core out, hooked her power cell into it, and aimed the overload switch at the enemy. The light turned red. "Hey, metal face," she shouted, standing on the wreckage. The juggernaut turned. She pressed the switch. The explosion was like thunder. Light swallowed the sky. When the smoke cleared, the juggernaut was down, broken in half. Ilara lay nearby, blood on her face, barely breathing. After the Monday battle, the Vernax pulled back. Their dropships retreated. The battlefield grew quiet. Not a victory, but not a defeat either. They had held the line. Waking up, Ilara woke up in the medical bay. 3 days later, bandaged, weak, Kelter sat beside her. "You lived." She smiled. Faintly. "Told you I had a tab to pay." He nodded. "The people are waiting. They want to see their commander." Ilara stood slowly. Every bone ached. But her spirit didn't. She stepped outside the bay. The survivors, soldiers, medics, children were waiting. They clapped, not loud, not cheering, just steady, respectful. A salute. She looked at them and said only one thing: "We're not done yet." Closing scene that night. Ilara stood at the edge of the crater, where Shelter 12 once was. She looked at the stars. She spoke softly, not to anyone there, but to someone who wasn't. "I couldn't save you, Myra, but I saved them. I'll keep saving them." Behind her, the resistance worked through the night, rebuilding defenses, cleaning the ruins, training again, because they all knew this was only the second wave. The war had just begun, and now The enemy would face something new, a commander who had already lost everything and was no longer afraid of anything. The ground was quiet again. The smoke had cleared, and the stars once more shined above the ruins of New Terra. The second Vernax attack had ended, but its scars remained. Burned buildings, shattered roads, fallen fighters, and yet, for the first time, the people had not lost. They had stood together. They had fought back. And they had survived. Waking to a new world, Captain Ilara Vuss sat in the command room, her arm wrapped in a sling, her ribs still healing. Across the screen in front of her, footage played, drones showing the battlefield. From above, the craters, the burnt ground, and the broken pieces of the massive Vernax juggernaut she had destroyed. She zoomed in. Among the wreckage, a small piece of tech blinked with blue light. She leaned forward. "That's not Vernax," she said softly. JLEN. The young engineer looked over her shoulder. "Then what is it?" "I don't know. But I'm going to find out." Morning and memory. The next day, a quiet gathering took place in the old tunnel. Entrance. People stood together in a circle, candles in hand, remembering the fallen. Names were read out loud. Each name followed by a single word, remembered. Torin, who had been badly wounded, stood with crutches. Lana, the sniper, had a bandage over her eye. Kelter stood tall and silent, watching, saying nothing, but feeling everything. Ilara stepped forward last. She held Mira's necklace in her hand. "This isn't a funeral," she said. "This is a promise. We don't forget. We don't stop. And we don't break." The crowd didn't cheer, but they stood taller. The fire inside them still burned. The mystery device. Later that day, Ilara and Yalan returned to the battlefield with a small team. Carefully, they recovered the blinking device from the juggernaut wreckage, back underground. Yalan set it on the table. "It's a memory core," he sighed. "Some kind of black box, but not Vernax. This tech is smoother, older, cleaner." Kelter stepped forward and stared at it. "This is not from the Vernax," he said slowly. "This is Zerine." Ilara frowned. "Who are the Zerine?" Kelter turned, his voice grave. "They are worse. The Vernax are destroyers. But the Zerine, they control. They infect minds. They twist people into weapons." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Are you saying the Vernax are being controlled?" "It's possible," Kelter replied. "The Juggernaut's sudden strength, its strange behavior, the way they change tactics. All signs point to something else pulling the strings." A cold silence filled the room. Ilara looked at the blinking device again. "We need answers," she said, "and this is where we start." Risky signal. With the tech secured, Ilara made another choice. She ordered Yalan to modify the long-range satellite again, this time to send a message not just to human colonies, but across alien networks as well. "Someone out there knows about the Zerine," she said. "We can't fight what we don't understand." Yalan hesitated. "If we broadcast on alien bands, we might attract the wrong attention." Ilara nodded. "I'm counting on it." Building the alliance. In the days that followed, word of New Terra's resistance spread. Human outposts started sending supplies. Small alien ships from the Dravak worlds brought tools, food, and fighters. Other species, once silent, now watched closely. "Your people were once soft," said Kelter. "Now they are fire." Ilara smiled faintly. "Fire spreads." New recruits arrived, young and old. From nearby systems, refugees, runaways, survivors from other worlds that had been hit by the Vernax. They didn't come looking for shelter. They came to learn how to fight. Ilara had become more than a commander. Now she was becoming a symbol. Training the new blood. The training fields beneath the surface buzzed with new energy. Drills ran daily. Combat simulations grew more advanced. Tactics improved. Old fighters trained the new ones. Lana taught sharpshooting from a high ledge. Torin, still on crutches, showed knife-fighting techniques. Kelter demonstrated alien hand-to-hand combat. And Alara watched, guided, corrected, encouraged. No one fights alone, she reminded them every day. And no one gets left behind. A message returned on the 10th day after the second attack. A signal came through, but it wasn't human. And it wasn't friendly. A voice, distorted, metallic, cold, filled the command room. We see your resistance. We allowed your survival, but no more. Submit or be reshaped. The signal ended. Everyone stood frozen. Kelter whispered. One word, Zerine. Ilara stood calmly, but her heart pounded. They know we found the device. They are watching, Kelter said. We must move fast. Ilara nodded. Then we make the first move. The hidden lab using coordinates hidden within the memory core. Ilara and her team located a hidden facility, buried deep under the mountains. Once used by scientists studying alien tech. It had been abandoned long ago. But maybe not empty. Ilara led a small team, herself, Kelter, Lana, and Yalin, into the mountain through old tunnels and sealed doors. What they found inside changed everything. A lab full of records, experiments, logs, maps of Vernak's movements. Going back 10 years, even worse, they found bodies, not just humans, hybrids, part Vernak's, part something else, controlled, modified. This is Zerine work, Kelter said. They've been shaping this war from the shadows. And no one knew, Ilara whispered. She looked at one of the bodies, its eyes still open, glowing faint blue. We need to burn this place. Fire in the dark, they rigged the entire facility with explosives. Before leaving, Yalin backed up every file onto a portable drive. We'll need this, he said, to fight smarter. Ilara gave one final look around. So much pain had started here, so many lies, so many lives twisted by something hiding in the dark. No more, she said. Blow it. The mountain shook as fire burst through the cracks. The lab was gone. Rising hope back at the resistance base. A new banner was raised, not a flag of any world, but a symbol, a phoenix rising from fire, not just for humans. For all who had survived, who had lost, and who refused to fall again. Ilara stood before her people, new and old. We were attacked, we were burned. We were broken, but we rose, and we will keep rising. The Vernaks failed to destroy us. The Zerine failed to control us. Her voice grew stronger. We are no longer just survivors. We are warriors, builders, defenders, and we will not stop until every shadow that threatens this galaxy is burned away. The crowd roared, louder than ever before. Closing scene that night, alone in the quiet of the command room, Ilara looked at Mira's necklace again. The chain was old. The gem cracked, but it still sparkled. Kelter entered quietly. You fear the war ahead, Ilara nodded. Yes, because I know how big it is, and yet you smile. Because I also know we're not alone anymore. Outside the window, lights filled the sky, ships arriving, fighters leaving, drones flying. A city once dead now breathed again. Hope was no longer just a word. It was rising. The mountain base had become more than a shelter. It was now the heart of a growing rebellion, a place where humans and aliens trained together, prepared together, and most of all, believed. Captain Ilara Vos stood on the balcony of the upper tower, watching ships fly in and out. Her wounds had healed, but the war inside her had not. She knew one thing for sure. The next move had to be hers. Waiting for the next attack was no longer an option. It was time to strike. The enemy within. After destroying the hidden lab, Kelter and Yalin continued studying the data they recovered. For days, they sat in the underground archive, decoding alien logs and surveillance records. One evening, Kelter called Ilara. We found something, he said. On the screen, a rotating map of nearby space systems appeared. This pointed is a Zerine relay hub. It's where they send mind control signals across planets. Vernak's forces are using it to coordinate attacks. Ilara narrowed her eyes. If we destroy it, what happens? Their command link will break, Kelter said. They'll be confused, slower. We'll have an advantage. But, Yalin added, it's deep in enemy space. Getting in won't be easy. Ilara crossed her arms. Then we'll do what they never expect. We'll go silent, we'll go small, and we'll go now. Building the strike team, Ilara chose 8 people for the mission. Kelter for combat and alien tech. Yalin for hacking and tech work. Lana, sniper and recon. Rhea, a pilot who once flew for the military. Torin, now healed and stronger than ever. Alec and Neri, twin engineers with fast hands and sharp minds. And herself, to lead them. No big armies. No backup, just one small ship, built for stealth. They named it the Ember. Leaving the nest the night they left, the base went quiet. Only a few people stood near the landing bay, watching silently. You don't have to go. One officer told her. Ilara replied, yes, I do. Because if we don't break them from the inside, this war never ends. The Ember lifted off, silent as a whisper, and disappeared into the stars. Deep behind enemy lines, the journey to the relay hub took 5 days. They avoided patrols. Used asteroid fields for cover. At times they powered down completely to avoid detection. Inside the ship, the tension was heavy. Torin practiced knife flips in silence. Lana cleaned her rifle over and over. Neri told old jokes just to break the quiet. Ilara stayed focused, studying the enemy station's layout every night. When they reached the edge of Zerine space, Kelter pointed to the screen. There it is. The relay hub was massive, floating between 2 dead moons. Its black metal walls pulsed with blue light. Thousands of signals shot out from it like spiderwebs. It's beautiful. Yalin said, it's a trap. Lana added, infiltration. Their plan was simple. Enter through the maintenance bay at the bottom of the station. Disable internal defenses. Plant charges at the core. And escape before detection. But simple never means easy. As they entered the station's outer ring, the security system triggered early. Stealth field is dropping. Rhea shouted, we're visible. Move fast, Ilara yelled. Plan B. The Ember docked roughly, scraping the metal. The team stormed in, guns ready. Torin led with heavy cover fire while Lana and Kelter disabled the door locks. Inside the station, corridors twisted like veins, glowing with eerie light. The walls seemed alive, pulsing softly. Feels wrong, Neri whispered. Like it's watching us. It is, Kelter replied. The Zerine are always watching. Into the core. After fighting through 2 levels, they reached the main. Server core. It floated inside a wide chamber, a black sphere, surrounded by holographic light and cables that pulsed like heartbeats. JALEN, and the twins rushed forward. Starting the charge sequence, Kelter held the doorway with Torin, blocking incoming Vernak's patrols. Then the lights shifted. From the shadows, a new kind of enemy appeared. Not VORNX. Not fully alien either. These soldiers had human faces, but blue eyes that glowed wrong. Their movements were robotic. Their voices were silent, mind-taken. Kelter said in horror. Zerine slaves. They moved fast. One tackled Alec. Another leaped at Yalin. Torin barely blocked a blade with his forearm. Screaming in pain, Ilara fired, hitting one in the chest. But it didn't fall. Lana's sniper round finally dropped it with a headshot. They're tough. She shouted, we need to finish the charges. Ilara yelled. Sacrifice and fire. As the fight raged, Yalin finished linking the core. 30 seconds to overload, he called. Fall back. Ilara ordered. They started pulling back, dragging the injured. But more mind-taken kept coming. Then Alec fell, badly wounded. Go, he cried. I'll cover. No. Neri screamed, but he raised his weapon, fired wildly, and smiled at her one last time. The doors sealed. A second later, the explosion came. The entire relay station shook. Systems crashed. Lights went dark. Control panels sparked and died. They had done it. The Zerine link was broken. Escape. The Ember was barely holding together. Rhea piloted fast, dodging debris as pieces of the station exploded behind them. The sky above New Terra was no longer dark. Ships from many worlds circled in orbit. Human fighters, alien cruisers. Old freighters turned into warships. Flags of different colors flew side by side. The Resistance had become a real force, not just a hope, but an army. At the center of it all stood Captain Ilara Vess, now called Commander by everyone around her. Her name had spread across planets. People whispered her story with pride. She had lost everything. And now, she was ready to take everything back. The warning Kielter stood at the center console of the war room. His face was calm, but his voice was serious. They're coming. A hologram of the galaxy lit up. Red dots spread like fire from one side. The Vernax, more violent than ever. They had lost control after the relay was destroyed. Now they attacked everything, even each other. But one part of the swarm moved with purpose. A massive fleet. Not wild. Organized. Jail. En typed fast on the console. The signal's back. Not as strong, but someone is guiding them again, I think. The Zerine are trying to take back control. Kelter nodded. It is their final move. Ilara stared at the map, and it will be ours. A final plan. The new enemy flagship was called the Mindforge, a massive vessel, far larger than anything seen before. It could twist minds. It could erase memories. It could even make people fight their own allies. We can't just attack it head on, Lana said. That's suicide. No, Ilara agreed. We won't. She pointed at the weak points in the Mindforge's outer rings. We're going to cut off its mind link again. But this time, we go all the way. We don't just damage it. She looked at her team. We destroy it. And we destroy the Zerine with it. The last assembly across every screen in every camp. Ilara's message played. Her voice was calm but full of fire. I am Ilara Voss. You know who I was. You know what we faced. They tried to break us. They burned our homes. They killed our people. But we did not fall. We rose. And now we rise together. This is not just a battle. This is the moment. We take back our future. From every colony, fighters responded. They were ready. Preparing for war, the Ember was upgraded. Faster engines, stronger shields. New weapons. JALEN led a group of young engineers to install mine-shielding tech across the fleet. Kale. Tor taught his people how to block a Zerine. Influence using ancient mental techniques. Rhea ran flight drills with new pilots. Day and night, everyone had a role. Everyone had a reason to fight. The battle begins. The fleet launched at dawn. Thousands of ships flew in formation toward the Mineforge, which hovered near a dying star, the last stronghold of the XARIEN. As they approached, the space around them shimmered. It's starting, Keltor said. They are reaching into mines. Alara felt it too. Doubt, fear, voices from the past. But she gritted her teeth. She wasn't that broken pilot anymore. This time, she whispered, they don't control us. Storm of fire, the first wave hit hard. Zerine-controlled ships swarmed from the edges. Faster and sharper than before, the Ember flew at the front, cutting through the enemy like a blade. Lana sniped targets from the roof hatch. Rhea twisted through. Heavy fire, avoiding death by inches. Shields down to 60%. Yalan shouted, hold steady. Alara replied, behind them. Allied ships worked together in perfect sync. Human and alien squadrons covering each other, protecting the capital ships. Pushing forward. For the first time, all of them were fighting as one. Boarding the Mineforge Ilaras. Real plan was not just to attack, it was to board the Mineforge and shut it down from the inside. The Ember broke through the outer ring with a final burst of speed. Sparks flew as it smashed into the enemy ship's docking bay. The team jumped out, guns ready. Inside, the halls pulsed with blue light. Strange whispers echoed through the air. This place is alive, Neri said softly. It's not alive, Kelter replied. It's possessed. The core of control. They fought their way to the central chamber. A huge, dark dome. At its center stood the Zerine control unit, a floating orb of energy, connected by wires to thousands of glowing minds. Trapped souls, humans, aliens, children, soldiers, all used as batteries. Alara stared, sick to her stomach. They're using them to power the ship. If we shut it down, Yalan said, some of them might survive. But if we destroy it, they all die. The team stood frozen. Then Alara spoke. I made a promise that no one else would be taken. She looked around. We set them free. 1. Last stand. As they tried to free the captives, the ship reacted. Massive armored guards poured in. The room shook. The Zerine themselves, now revealed, floated down, tall, thin. Glowing beings with no faces and long black limbs. One of them reached toward Ilara's head. You are broken. You lead them to death. She screamed but stayed standing. No, she said. You fear me because I remember. And I fight anyway. She raised her weapon and fired straight through its chest. The final fight had begun. Victory at a cost. The battle inside the core was brutal. Kelter fought with his bare hands, taking down 2 Zerine before falling to his knees. Lana was wounded protecting. Rhea.JALEN finally reached the control panel and hit the final command, freeing all minds. Now, the orb shattered. Light exploded from it. Screams filled the air, but they were screams of release. The trapped souls vanished into peace. The Mineforge began to collapse. Time to go. Rhea shouted. The team ran back to the Ember. Just as they launched, the Mineforge exploded behind them, shaking the stars. Silence in the stars back on New Terra. Silence filled the command center. Then, a signal. It was the Ember. They were alive. Cheers echoed through every hall. People hugged, cried, and sang. The war was over. After the fire weeks later, the cleanup began. The resistance helped rebuild colonies, bury the lost, and heal the broken. Kelter recovered slowly, his body weak but spirit strong. Lana received a new cyber eye. Yalan was offered a full lab of his own. Elara? She stood once more above the cliffs of New Terra, watching a new sunrise. This time, she was not alone. Children played below. Ships flew in peace. And on every world touched by war, one message spread: we fight. We survive. We rise. Epilogue. The voice of the free. A year later, a new council was formed. Not just humans, but all species who had fought together. They called themselves the Free Worlds Alliance, and their leader? Commander Ilara Voss. No longer broken, no longer lost, but remembered as the one who led the last battle and reclaimed the future.